Hi everyone, this is Caroline Speaks, the State of Our World on Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. So what is it? Good, bad, or indifferent? Well, the coronavirus is still with us. New York's excluded workers demand first U.S. fund to secure pandemic aid for undocumented people. In New York, when the pandemic was at its height and they were getting a lot of media attention, a lot of the workers who were working, manning the hospitals and helping out with health care and other things, they were undocumented. Now, New York set up a fund to help people uh, who are not getting money with the relief acts that have been passed in the Congress. So these workers had a hunger strike, and they are looking for the state of New York to give them the aid they need for all kinds of things so they can continue to live there. They are essential workers. So hopefully, the governor will be moved to sign the bill and give them the aid they need. It's a very sad situation, and unfortunately, it happened. I don't know what's happening in other states for excluded workers. Now, also, there's a new story. Pandemic profiteers. Hospitals sued patients over medical debt while collecting billions in relief aid. Well, this is a very sad situation. Hospitals were getting all kinds of aid from the CARES Act, was passed last year in Congress, and yet if someone couldn't pay their medical bill, they were getting sued, and that they shouldn't be doing medical. There shouldn't be no such thing as medical debt. Medical aid, medical care should not be a reason to sue someone. So there are people working on that, and hopefully some of the biggest hospitals are are guilty of this. So hopefully the hospitals will get their act together and stop suing their patients. Now, President Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure plan goes beyond bridges and roads, but its scale is inadequate, some people say. Some people say it should be about $10 trillion. That would be nice. I agree. Of course, Republicans don't want to spend that money, but in the U.S. Senate, they found a way of possibly getting around the filibuster use by using a special kind of reconciliation several times in the year. So hopefully that'll work. We'll get this infrastructure plan passed and finally fix our bridges and tunnels and roads and water systems and all kinds of stuff. Hopefully. Okay, now, so we talked about this yesterday. The world's poorest nations face setback as India suspends vaccine exports amid fight over patent rights. India has been given like a license, contracted to create, manufacture vaccine doses by pharmacies, pharmaceuticals. And now India is realizing that they have a huge population of over 1 billion people, and they're going to need those vaccines for their own people. However, they've been licensed or contracted to create vaccine doses, so they can't really take it for themselves, a bigger portion than they're entitled to. So we'll see what happens. Evidently, the U.S. and other large wealthy nations like the British and the Germans and the French, they funded development of vaccines, and therefore these pharmaceutical companies should not be charging for the vaccine. Actually, they shouldn't have any uh, right to any intellectual property. They were paid to do this, and the intellectual property really should be with the countries that funded this, not with the pharmaceutical companies. With something like the coronavirus, if you don't vaccinate everybody, that one person that gets left out could carry the virus and bring it to your shores. So you have to get smart about this. The virus is contagious, it spreads through the air. So, okay. Now, President Biden, the administration has lifted Trump-era sanctions imposed on International Criminal Court prosecutor Fatou Bensouda and another top ICC official for the court's investigation into U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan. However, Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirmed U.S. opposition to the probe as well as to the ICC's investigation into Israeli war crimes in the occupied Palestinian territories. Well, the U.S. shouldn't be opposing a probe into atrocities, war crimes committed in Afghanistan. Everybody should be held accountable. And Israel should not get a pass on war crimes in the occupied Palestinian territories. I hope they will hold Israel accountable. For some reason, the United States has a blind spot when it comes to Israel. Israel can do no wrong. I totally disagree with that. So hopefully Israel will be held accountable for what they've done to the Palestinians, and the U.S. will be held accountable for what they've done in Afghanistan. Okay, so that's good. Now, what else is new? Montana has a governor who has ended the mask mandate in February, but he has tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, he's gotten the vaccine, or at least the first dose of the vaccine, and he is tested positive for the vaccine. And gotten his first dose, and he got tested positive 4 days before his positive test. So who knows and why? But he did attend Easter Sunday services at a Bible church in Bozeman, Montana. That could have been what gave him the virus. And he's ended the mask mandate. What an idiot. But that's the way they are. Now, also, Israel's president has given the prime minister a chance to form a coalition government after elections in March failed to produce a clear winner for the fourth consecutive round of voting. This comes as Netanyahu's corruption trial has opened at a district court in Jerusalem. He's accused of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust, and the former CEO of an online news site testified he was ordered by the company's owner to drop negative stories about Netanyahu and to trash his rivals. Prosecutors say that in exchange, Netanyahu enacted regulatory decisions worth hundreds of millions of dollars to the owner. Netanyahu is also accused of trying to push tax breaks to benefit an Israeli billionaire who has a movie producer after receiving gifts from him. So a lot of corruption going on in Israel, and that's who we're supporting, and say it's okay what they do with their bad treatment of the Palestinians. That's very sad, but that's okay, I guess. I guess it pays to have friends in high places, evidently. Now, what else is happening? Now, Haiti has yet to receive any doses of the vaccine, and Haiti's a very poor country. And so we have to do something about this. We can't just let it go. But that's the way it is. It pays to have friends in high places. The coronavirus, about 552,000 have passed away from the virus in the U.S. There are about 27 million plus cases in the U.S. People are still getting the virus, going into the hospital, and passing away from the virus. I believe there's about 79,000 new cases yesterday in the U.S. Now, that's just in the U.S., but the U.S. is just one part of the world. So how many cases are there in the world? I don't know, but for some reason the media is not publishing those statistics anymore. No, they've had a news blackout on that. All right, now, we talked yesterday about some things going on in the World War II era. And now we have, back then, people were trying to get out of 1930s, trying to get out of Europe because the Germans were on their way with their massive war machine. And they were trying to get to a safe place. And then now people are trying to get out of certain places in Latin America, Asia, and Africa to get to a safe place. And all falls relates to immigration, progressive immigration policies. So we have to really think about people in general. And we need to be fair. For some reason, we're not being very fair to people. All right, now, how about a little music? Okay, the song I'd like to sing today is called Good Night, Irene. It was written by, it was performed by the Weavers. I think it was written by someone in the Weavers. The Weavers included Pete Seeger, a very famous folk singer. All right, here we go. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my wife settled down. Now me and my wife are parted. Take another stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Sometimes I live in the country. Sometimes I live in the town. Sometimes I have a great notion to jump into the river and drown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Stop rambling, stop your gambling, stop staying out late at night. Go home to your wife and your family. Sit down by the fireside bright. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Okay, that's it. Hope you like that. Good night, Irene. Thank you for joining us this evening of April 6, 2021, for another meeting of Carolyn Speaks the State of Our World. Hope you'll be back with us again tomorrow evening. And also, wear that mask, practice social distancing, only go out when you have to, only socialize with those in your immediate household. And remember, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a very long way. Now, something we talked about yesterday, there's a problem with Ethiopia and the Tigray, Tigray area of Ethiopia. Evidently, Somalia has something to do with that, and I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but hopefully things will get better because the people are the ones who suffer. All right, stay safe. See you tomorrow. Good night.